So I got a question from one of the viewers on how to shorten a t-shirt and crop it. At first I was like, who needs to know this? I've never had this issue before. And then I quickly went, here's a bug. Then I quickly went through my clothing and found out that actually I have quite a few shirts that are way too long. And now before you get any ideas, I don't just wear suits and dress shirts. I can be found in the occasional t-shirt, running some errands, just chilling with some friends, but they still need to look just as good as those dress clothes do. So what am I gonna do for you in this video? Exactly like you thought I was, show you how to shorten your t-shirts, super simple on a home sewing machine so that there's no fraying and you don't gotta worry about any of that messiness. So let's start by marking our shirts. So here we go with both of our shirts. So you can wear the shirt and pin it to where you want, but again, unless you have a friend or someone helping you with that, it can be a little tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna take a shirt that I really like the length on. That's gonna be this gray shirt that you just saw me in. And we are going to take the measurement. I'm gonna do it from the back of the collar. I like to go right above the collar because sometimes the collars on the shirt can be a little bit different. And we are at 20, without stretching anything or pulling anything too tight, just laying natural, 25 inches. Now, let's flip it around and check the other side. This is the front of the shirt, and depending on the style you like, this can either swoop into the back or just be straight all around, but let's just take a measurement and see. Naturally, it's gonna be a little bit different, but. So this one measures 22 inches. So now let's see how the other one stacks up in comparison. So our back measurement from underneath the collar, we're gonna be 27. So we wanna be at 25. Grab a pin. Now let's flip it over. We were at 21.5 last time. So let's add something right in there. Now what we want to do is measure and see if we're taking in the same amount or if we have to kind of angle it as we go around the shirt. So from the front, we're going 2.5 inches in. From the back, we're going 2.5 inches. So we're just going to crop the entire shirt 2.5 inches up. Let's show you how to do that. Now, if you had a darker shirt, I would definitely recommend taking chalk and marking it 2.5 inches all the way up because that's the easiest way to do it. But if you don't, we're just going to use some pins. Also, if you will notice, the way that they did this is all they did was they cut it, and it looks like they used a double stitch needle, which I can show you how to do that, and they just went around. Super simple. This is gonna keep all that up and kind of stop from fraying because of the way it surges it on the end. Super simple. You can do that same exact thing up here. Just turn it and double stitch it if you wanna buy a double needle. If not, I'll show you a very clean way to achieve pretty much the same look. And it actually will look a little bit better in my opinion. Turn this up like that. So we're at 2.5 inches on that guy. I don't know where my pins are, so I'm gonna use safety pins. No need for you guys to use safety pins. It doesn't really change anything. Now for a little bit extra security, you can go lay this out on your ironing board and press out this crease just for some extra reassurance when you go to stitch it that it's not going to be wavy at the bottom. So here we are sitting at the machine and we are going to be doing our first line of stitching. So the idea of this premise is we are going to create this double stitch here without actually using a double stitch needle. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up about the same amount that they have here, which is 1 inch, and we're just going to do one straight line across there. The reason why we're not cutting this right now is because this jersey fabric, especially when it's like older and worn, if you cut it, it can stretch a little bit while you're working on the hem, and then you'll get this really weird blousey effect at the bottom. So what you can do to curve that from happening is you can either taper your shirt once you cut it and then turn it up, or like I'm about to do here, you can just turn it up and then stitch it and then cut it off. That way it's already stitched into place and you don't gotta worry about much. So let's get this in here. I got my tension at about a 3 right now. Actually, I have it at a 3. It's not about, it is at a 3. And I have my selector at a straight stitch, and we are ready to get going. Okay, now we're all set and ready to start sewing. If you haven't pressed it to get that crease, just make sure that you're keeping it all in line. You don't want to have any waviness. Also, remove the needles as you go. Now we have this all sewn. We're going to try it on and make sure it's the right length before we make any final cuts. Now we have the shirt laid out and pressed. What we're going to do is make our next cut. And what I want to do is I want to leave about a 1/2 inch allowance so that I can take it and roll it under and then top stitch right along there. So it'll give us that nice 1/4 inch distance that you see here on the original seam, but it'll also give us a very nice clean edge on the inside so nothing frays. So if you can either pin this. I'm going to try and chalk it just because it's easier for cutting. Go from the line you made up to about 1/2 inch all the way around the shirt and then cut that off. You can use a pen or a pencil would also work in this situation. Now we will continue on with the cut. So this is our raw edge. We are going to take this, fold it in on itself, and then we're gonna iron that flat on a new crease so that it's easier to stitch. Another option is you could zigzag this edge, or if you have an overlocking machine, I would recommend that. I just don't like the zigzag look. To me, even though you're not gonna see it from the outside, I think when you're wearing your clothing, you wanna know that it looks professional. And I just think the zigzag looks a little bit homemade in my opinion, rather than this looks very professional and meant to be there. Now we've got everything pressed, and I will admit that even took me a little bit of time to get all that turned up, but we got it, and that's what it'll look like. And we're just gonna top stitch as close to that top, but keeping it evenly separate between the two. If you have pins and you wanna pin it down, that works as well. You do whatever it takes to get this to stay in place while you're sewing it to the best of your ability. Don't worry if it looks a little bit awkward or feels awkward at first. The more you do it, the better you'll get. A fun little tip, if you don't have these guides on your machine like I do, you can take a piece of tape and just lay it down where your needle is starting at, or a Post-it note works very well in this situation too. You lay that guy down. I'm having a hard time keeping this straight. And then you just keep it right on the edge of that tape. Post-it notes are obviously a lot easier. As you can see, it's not the easiest thing to see, but you get the idea. Also, it's very important not to pull the fabric very tight. You want to kind of let it naturally guide. Compared to the original, and here's how it looks on the inside. To me, I just think that looks really clean and professional. You don't have to worry about fraying. It looks really cool, but it does take a little bit extra time to do. Now let's see how it looks on. And that was it. And I know that it might be a little bit tricky finishing it, but like I told you before, there are multiple ways you can finish off a shirt hem with a zigzag, overlock machine, any of that stuff, rolling it up. Another tip is if you're not too worried about it looking exactly like it did on the last one, you can actually make that turn up more like an inch or whatever it be, so that you have more fabric to turn over and then top stitch instead of trying to work with like a ½ an inch. I know that was kind of hard for me. I figured it might be a little bit hard for you guys as well, but overall you have a finished shirt that is at a desired cropped length. You can jump around with different threads, try some different twin needles, see how it works for you guys. Now, if you guys don't mind liking and sharing this to other people so they can see it and I can keep creating more content like this and know what you guys want. Like I said, this one was someone in the comments who let me know what they wanted to see. Also, we have a very fun announcement. If you guys have any questions specific about tailoring or how to do certain things, you can reach out to me on my new texting platform. You send me a message via my phone number, whoop, 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 and I will get back to you in the form of a text. It will just come through your normal text messaging app, so you don't have to worry about going to certain websites or apps or whatnot. You can get it all straight through there and text me directly. It's actually me, guys. It's not any robot just sending out mass advice. So you guys can reach out with a question or a video suggestion. I love when people send me their video suggestions so I can make more videos like this. That number is 814-205-0833. Send me a text and I will see you guys there. Thank you again for watching and stay amazing.